Now that you've gotten comfortable using the hip hook and the ball, I'm going to teach you some techniques on how to really get in there a little bit deeper. And I know these are kind of advanced techniques, so maybe put these in your back pocket if you're just beginning. But there's many ways to explore using the hip hook to really get deeper in there. Everything that I'm going to share about the hip hook also applies to the ball. So if you're using the ball, stay tuned. Okay, so when you're on the hip hook, there's quite a bit of real estate of that muscle. So even if you start here in this particular position, there's lots more to explore by moving it up a little bit to the higher part of the iliacus, always remembering to use the pivot, use the handle to pivot the tool underneath you. Moving it down a little bit, moving it at an angle. And it's really important to make sure that you are using that pivot and positioning it flat. If the tool is flat on the ground, like this, when you first lie upon it, you're going to have a lot more range of motion, a lot more options to really find some pretty sweet and juicy spots. If the tool ends up being tipped because you didn't position it properly when you lie on top of it, there's a little bit less that you can do with it. So that's an important piece to going deeper too, is making sure that it's flat underneath you. Similarly, if you move it up or down or rotate it, you can get at different aspects of the muscle that way. When you're on the hip hook and you found a really good spot, you can play around with moving your legs and your body to increase the tension. The more you're up on your elbows will increase tension, so you can play with that. You can also take your leg that you're working on and working on this side and lift your knee up off the ground with your toe firmly planted. You can also try to lift your entire leg up off the ground. That's really intense, super advanced. You can bend your knee and windshield wiper your leg back and forth. And you may find a good spot like right there that you may want to stay at or stay on. Similarly, you can increase the amount of pressure by moving your body on the hip hook. So it's maybe hard to tell in video, but I'm letting my body sink into the hip hook, and then I'm moving my torso or my hips over to the right side. And you can do that while you're pressing on the lever as well. Similarly, you can take your opposite leg out to the side, which will put more pressure on that side. And then you can also work on rotating your body in different directions. So maybe rotating it this way, or a combination of some of those motions that I talked about. But the key is, like I mentioned in the book, and I talk about in the instructions, it's very important to find that juicy spot. And even though you're moving around to try to find how to get deeper, to find that juicy spot and stay on that. So when you do find a really good spot where the hip hook is sunk in and it's feeling the right intensity that you're searching for, allow your body to just sit in that until it actually dissipates to the point where you actually don't feel it much at all. That's where you're going to get more of the long-term gains. If you leave too soon, if you starts to release a little bit, you're like, okay, I want to find that next intense spot. You're actually missing out on some of the rewards that you would get if you just were a little bit patient and just waited that one extra minute to let it fully release. I hope this helps you to be able to, use the hip hook in a different way and really get a little bit deeper. If you have any more questions, please feel free to reach out to us.